All right, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode on What the Sheet. And in today's episode, we're going to be making a very simple entertainment center that's going to have two legs that are very similar to actually the Sawhorse that it's sitting on right now. And it's all going to be made out of red oak from Menards. So the top will be this 1 by 16 by 6 foot piece. I got to trim it down to 55 inches. And then the main part of the legs will be the 2x2 oak boards that'll be cut at a slight angle. And then there'll be a piece, if you just pretend these are the legs, there'll be a similar piece like this, a little bit lower down, that'll connect the two halves. And then there'll be another piece that goes in between. And then for connecting it to the base, I'm going to use this 1x3 that'll be on the top of the boards. And then this will also be the piece that runs in between, like I said. And then to connect the legs to the actual top, what I'm going to do is I have these little grommets, and I'll grab those in 1 second. So for the top, to connect them, I got these, they're called prong T-nuts, that's what they're calling them. But basically what you do is you drill out a small hole for the main kind of cylinder piece here to go in, and then you hammer in these spikes into the board itself. And then you'll take a bolt, and then this is a 1/4 bolt, and it just threads in. So basically what I'll do is I'll have the nut part itself hammered into the bottom side, and I'll probably do 2 or 3 per leg. And then I've got some 1-inch 1/4 bolts, and I'll just use those with a washer, and I'll screw basically the Sawhorse legs to the base or to the top. And that way for transportation, makes it a lot easier, so I'm not having to transport this giant thing around. And then 2, the person I'm making this for, they want to do their own stain. So to make it easier on them to stain it and all that stuff, and just to maneuver around their house, it'll basically be in 3 pieces. You have 2 legs and then the top. All right, so I got the legs cut, and then this is going to be the kind of A-frame piece. And so I got to cut 3 more of these. Yeah. So basically what I did is I just clamped a piece of plywood on the side of my little workbench here to give me a flat surface to kind of act as the top piece that'll mount to the bottom of the actual top. And all I did was I just laid the legs out, and then I just kind of slowly walked up the cross member here to where it fits tight. And now all I got to do is cut 3 more of these, and then from there it's just determining how big of a gap I want from the front to back, and how far back I want the legs to actually sit on the inside. So I'll probably go about an inch from the inside edge, or from the outside edge, for the front of the legs on the front and back, and then side to side I can determine a little bit later, but I'll probably have something similar to actually what sawhorses are right now, just because this is designed to be a TV stand, and these legs plenty strong, but at the same time I don't want to have the legs too far out and have too much weight here in the middle and have this start to bow or sag over time, which I don't think it will, with it being an oak, solid oak board. But the closer in the legs I can get, the more stable it'll be, and the longer this will last. All right, so we got the 2 cap pieces cut. I still got to trim them to length, but I got the angles cut that match the angles of the legs. So this is just the cross piece, but it's got the same degree of angle. So this will kind of show you what I'm doing here. So if we put it on this one, we put the tops together, and basically what I did, I just wanted to give this a little bit of an angle to kind of break up the edge of this. I didn't want it to be square, just because this whole piece is a lot of sharp angles, and just having this flush, a square edge right here, I didn't think it would look as nice. Alright, so I'll show you what I got going on here. So we got the little wing nut grommet dealio bobbies hammered into place. So I got 3 on each side, and then what I did is I actually went through with my router and I just kind of gouged out a little hole. Since these don't sit exactly flush, you can kind of see they sit a little proud. So I just went through and I took out, about 1/8 of an inch just around the hole. So that way when I flip the legs back on, these sit pretty much flush. Let's see, and it helps kind of line it up a little bit too. So there, now I gotta do some sanding yet on the legs, but as you can see they sit flush. And then with the bolts, they just slide right in. And somewhere down there's a hole. Hopefully. There we go. And I might get some new washers for these, just because these are a little big. But they seem to work good enough. I just wanted something to kind of spread that load out and make it so these don't, bite into the wood as much, and make this piece last a little longer. And especially if they're gonna put a nice finish on here, I don't want these bolts to be chewing into the wood and scuffing it up, making it look not so nice. Alright, so there it is. It's all relatively done. I still got some sanding to do, and I kind of want to try and fix the legs because it's a little weeble wobbly here. So I want to do what I can to kind of fix that. If anything, putting some rubber feet on the bottom of here will kind of help get rid of that wobble, because the rubber feet will squish, whatever leg's getting a little bit more pressure, that'll squish down a little bit more. It'll help kind of eat up a little bit of discrepancy here and there. And then obviously I want to sand top down, get rid of any marks that might be in there. And then the edges here got some burn marks. But overall, it's done. Like I said, the person I'm dropping this off for, they're going to do their own stain, so I don't have to do any of that. So this is as far as I got to go with this. But if I had to stain it, really not that big of a deal. All this wood that I bought was already pre-sanded, so really won't have to do much sanding to get it to a nice finish. And then it's just a matter of putting 1 to 2 coats of stain, depending on what type of stain you're doing, and then probably 2 coats, 3 coats of poly over top of that to get a nice solid finish, and so that stain doesn't get eaten up or rub off on your other furniture or whatever you're setting up on here. And I don't know if I mentioned this earlier, but this whole project probably took me 2 hours, and that's with doing some filming and stuff like that. So as long as you know what you're doing, you got plans kind of set out, and you have all your materials, this in theory should take you about 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and then probably another hour or 2 for putting on stain and finishes and all that jazz. What really saved me a lot of time was buying the kind of pre-glued up surface, or the top, just because if I had to glue my top up itself, that would have taken a whole day of work time, versus having this pretty much pre-done for me. All I had to do was just trim it to length, and then sand or router up the edges, and then do the legs and all that stuff. It made the process go a lot faster, just by having to do some angle cuts on the legs, and then throwing in some glue and some screws in those, and they're done. So it made the project go a lot faster by not having to buy separate boards for the top. But that's all I got for you guys in this one. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them down below, and I'll try to think of what else I have for some next projects here. Try and keep the content going as best I can. But that's all I got for you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.